Protesters have pulled down and desecrated a statue of Queen Elizabeth II in Canada in a spark of fury against the monarch. Protesters tied a rope around the statue before toppling it on the grounds of the Manitoba Legislative Building on Thursday. The protest took place on Canada Day, where footage showed groups who gathered to remove the statue of Her Majesty. In a separate incident, a statue of Queen Victoria was covered in red and orange paint before also being trampled on by protesters. The group then smeared the statue with a slogan which read, "We were children once. Bring 'em home." During the protest, the group was also heard chanting "No Pride in Genocide" as they stood around the statue in Winnipeg. The protests came amid the reports of the country's historic treatment of the Indigenous population. The backlash occurred after First Nation communities discovered the remains of former children at residential schools. The schools were often run by the Catholic Church, with many across the country also facing arson attacks. A discovery of 761 children's remains was found in a mass grave at a former Indigenous boarding school in southern Saskatchewan. The mass grave was found by the Cowessess First Nation last Thursday. The group is attempting to expose the exploitation of their ancestors in Canada. A further 200 bodies were also found in a grave at St. Eugene's Mission School in British Columbia. It is estimated up to 6,000 children perished in the residential school system, where many were abused and stripped from their families. The schools were established under Victoria's reign and were not closed until the 1970s. One survivor, Belinda Vanderbroek, raged at the Queen for the horrible conditions some of the children had to endure. She told CBS News, "This Queen is the one that gave our land away just like that to her merry gentlemen, her fur traders. So I really have no place for her in my heart. I never did. She means nothing to me except that her policies and her colonialism is what is dictating us right to this minute as you and I speak." While at the schools, the children were also banned from speaking their native tongue. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau acknowledged the country's blood-stained history during the federal holiday this week. He said, "The horrific findings of the remains of hundreds of children at the sites of former residential schools in British Columbia and Saskatchewan have rightly pressed us to reflect on our country's historic failures and the injustices that still exist for Indigenous peoples and many others in Canada."